If you're building muscle after 50 with light weights and you're sick of all those endless reps on every set, I've got a cheat code for you to level up your gains, cut your workout time in half, and it will save your joints. So stick with me and let's get the job done. Before I forget, who am I? I'm Simon H, Muscle After 50 coach, and I'm here defying age and helping men sculpt strength, redefine what it's like to have muscle after 50. So before you forget, do yourself a favor and subscribe. Now, back to this lightweight tip. For you to fully understand the power of this lightweight hack, let's just step back a bit so we can understand why and how lightweights work to build muscle. You see, when you use light weights and high reps, the focus is on creating metabolic stress and fatigue within the muscle. This is called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is different from using heavy weights and low reps, because when you're using heavy weights, you're building muscle through myofibrillar hypertrophy by increasing the size of the muscle fibers, which enhances muscle strength and density. I'm telling you this because the lightweight hack I'm about to share with you exploits the metabolic stress and the fatigue elements of lightweight training. But before we get into that, let me add a few more pieces to the puzzle, because many lifters have problems making lightweight training work for them. Now, if you've had some challenges trying to build muscle with light weights, let me know in the comments.
Lock and load.
During sets of light load strength training, vast parts of the set involve no recruitment of the high threshold motor units, which control the muscle fibers connected to muscle growth. It's only the last 5 reps of any set to failure that produces the stimulus for hypertrophy. Example, if you're doing sets of 20, it's the last 5 repetitions to failure that count towards that stimulus for muscle growth. Now, with that being said, this is where a lot of people miss an opportunity to grow using light weights. A lot of people approach a set with a particular number of repetitions in mind, i.e. say 15 repetitions. So they stop the set at 15 because they're driven by that number, or worst of all, the pump, and they don't give their body that adequate metabolic stress or fatigue to be able to initiate that stimulus for muscle growth. So you're missing the opportunity to grow. So a perfect way to be able to avoid that is to work within a rep range. So instead of saying I'm going to do 20 reps, you might think to yourself, I'm going to do between 18 and 25 reps. I pick a weight, I work as hard as I can, all the way to failure, and hopefully that will land me so now I'm not held to stopping at 20 reps. I may stop before 20 or I may stop after 20, but my main focus has been failure. So that's a better way of being able to initiate that stimulus for muscle growth. You see, the body is very smart. It works from lowest threshold motor units to the highest. We need to activate the highest threshold motor units because they control the muscle fibers responsible for growth. So if you're stopping well before you fatigued, you're not touching those high threshold motor units. I can hear somebody saying, Simon, you got my interest, get on with this lightweight hack. But before I get on and tell you this juicy little hack, let me know in the comments, what rep range do you work in? Let me know. Now, here comes the juice. Let's imagine that we're doing 4 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions on leg extension. That's potentially 80 repetitions in total. Once you've reached failure and finished your first set, those same important high threshold motor units remain activated for a short time as your muscles recover. This period is crucial as it stimulates muscle protein synthesis, metabolic stress, and growth hormone, all important for muscle growth. While high threshold motor unit activation can vary from about 10 to 30 seconds after the set has finished, what if we could ride the wave of that very first set, stimulate more muscle growth, and complete all 4 sets without having to do all 80 reps? Yep, for lots of reasons, I'm down with that. I'll explain all those benefits a little later, but back to the hack. The way we're going to do this is by performing what we call myo-reps, aka rest pause sets. This is how it works. Your first job is to choose a rep range. So if I was doing this, I would avoid anything under 15 repetitions if I'm using light weights. Now you're gonna start by doing what we call an activation set. This is where you do 1 set to failure. By doing this, you activate the high threshold motor units responsible for stimulating muscle growth. I know I keep butting in, but what do I mean when I'm talking about training to failure? Well, the one thing I've noticed when using light weights compared to using heavier weights is that it's much harder to gauge how close you are to failure because the lower level of exertion can mask the onset of fatigue, making it a little bit more challenging to assess how much strength you have remaining compared to the clear signs that using heavier weights gives you. So with that being said, pay attention to the point where your form begins to deteriorate or when you are no longer able to complete a repetition with the same control and range of motion. Once you've reached that point, rest 10 to 12 seconds, which is just enough time for some of your ATP energy to be restored before the high threshold motor units have a chance to deactivate. Next, you're going to perform 3 sets of 5 repetitions, all with 10 to 12 seconds rest between all sets. But why are we using 5 reps on all of the rest pause sets? Good question. As long as we don't rest too long, we can ride the wave of the high threshold motor units responsible for muscle growth stimulation remaining switched on. Those rest pause sets of 5 reps in terms of mechanical loading on the activated muscle fibers are essentially doing the same job as a 5 rep max set with much heavier weight. This allows us not to have to waste time resting for 2 or 3 minutes and having to go through the arduous task of having to complete another set of 18 to 25 reps just to take advantage of the final 5 reps. God damn. When you explain it like that, Simon, you'd be silly not to use it or even at least try it in your workouts. Now, how would I implement it in my workout program? Well, I would start, if it's the very first time I'm doing rest pause sets, I would start gradually. So imagine I'm doing 3 exercises per muscle group. On the first week, I would only use it on 1 exercise, and then I would slowly progress to doing it on 2 exercises, and then until I'm doing it on most of the exercises and use it for a training cycle. Now, your training cycle your training block may be 5 or 6 weeks. After that 5 and 6 weeks, I would do a deload week, and then I would very much, if I wanted to carry on using light weights, I would very much focus on progressive overload. Now, this is a reason why a lot of people don't make gains when it comes to using light weights. They go in the gym and they use the same weight week in and week out. It's like that weight has got their name written on it. Remember, progressive overload, it does not matter if you are using light weights or you're using heavy weights. Progressive overload is majorly important. It's as important as the intensity you use. So after that cycle and that deload phase, I will definitely focus on having a rep range of 18 to 25 again. Once I hit that target, and I fell somewhere in between that 18 to 25 reps, that very next week, I'm putting a couple more pounds on that bar, and then I'm going to go for it again. And as long as I fell in between that rep range, I'm going to go up again. This is how you're going to build muscle after 50, the smart way. Now, this is the end of the video. And if you like it as much as I love making this video, woo, drop me a like. And before you go, if you're not a subscriber, tap on your head, be a subscriber, because this is where you're going to get that muscle after 50 tip that nobody else is dropping. Now, look after yourself, keep smiling, keep growing, whoa, and make sure that you focus your mind on being that oak and growing old like that oak tree rather than wither like a leaf. I will see you on the next round of building muscle after the big 5-0. Peace.